So it's lovely how in calligraphy, a lot of the history of the region is embedded. Like any art form or any painting, it's like a slice of culture, and you can trace back its origin, the reasons behind it, everything to the cultural or scientific development at that time. Now, in the case of Gothic letters, it's quite fascinating how Gothic letters became as popular as they did, and it has a lot to tie in with politics. Um, Now, imagine a time when, during the Roman times, you have a kingdom that spreads through all, or at least half of England, and a large section, most of Europe, a large section of East Europe, and all of North Africa, so around the entire Mediterranean. And then around 700 years later, so around 750 or 710 to 750 AD, obviously sooner or later there's going to be some idiot emperor who can't manage all of this, so the whole Roman Empire starts crumbling, and there are other people who start then becoming more powerful, of which one was Charlemagne, who was considered the father of Europe. That is a fascinating story in itself. He tied in the success of the Roman Empire to their ability to organize, and also their ability to communicate and unite. So, the organizing bit was warfare strategy, political strategy, but what he zeroed in was this subtle skill of writing words, communicating through words, and making these words uniformly available across the kingdom. So even now, you come across a lot of ruins from 500 AD, sometimes even 100 BC, right from the Levant, which is completely east. This would be like Jordan and Syria and places like that, right up to Hadrian's Wall, which is right in the middle of UK. And everywhere you will find these monuments which are peppered around. Usually they are arches on which the conquering general's name is written and date is written and things like that. So now Charlemagne wanted to do the same thing for himself, except that by the time that he became the king, this was exactly 800 AD, there were so many different scripts all over. So he took the services of an English monk called Algonquin and said, dude, we need to unify all of this. So tell me what you can do. And he said, got it. He went all over the countryside, collected all samples, and he invented a script called Carolingian script. Now you should be aware that writing at that time was really not needed for your daily work. Most people were farmers, craftspeople. They really didn't go to offices. They weren't writing bills or sending out letters or anything. So you must appreciate the fact that there are very few people who knew how to write. And writing as a skill was as good as, I suppose, farming today. How many people in cities do you know who know how to farm? It's a redundant skill today. But at that time, writing was such a superficial skill, not redundant, because everybody else was doing other important things. So imagine investing so much time at something that superficial, and yet that is what then did indeed unite all of Europe, because today all of the European languages have the same script. They do rely on Roman because that is the grandmother of all of these scripts, but what Algonquin did was make the script uh, more universal. So somebody from the eastern side of Europe who has a certain language will still be able to understand what is written in a script, because the forms are slightly similar to what people in the West would see. So one set of letters and everyone understands more or less everything. And over time it became universal. But anything like script which is handmade does not become It's not like a font. It's not a computer font that is going to remain the same throughout. The moment you start writing it by hand, over time, there are going to be scribes who are going to convert it into their own style, sometimes for ease, sometimes for design, sometimes just out of economic concerns. So, this script, the Gothic script, was something that evolved after 800 AD over the next 300 years and became used in most of I would say West Europe, from maybe about 800, 900 AD, right up to 1400 AD. Now, this date of 800 AD is important because that was the time when papyrus became very difficult. As the Roman Empire broke up, their access to papyrus from Egypt started dwindling. So you suddenly had no paper. Till then, everyone was writing on papyrus. And then suddenly you have no paper, we have to figure out some kind of surface. They did not have these grasses and reeds in Europe. That was not the geography there at all. That's when they started moving to vellum. Now, vellum is made from animal skin, and it's a very, very laborious process where they shave off the hair and layers of the thick skin and make the innermost layer of the skin available to write on. It is so thinly processed, or processed to that thinness that it becomes translucent. You can hold it up to the air and you can see your hand from underneath it. So this is the surface that had to be written on, and imagine the time taken and therefore how expensive this surface was. So you could not just write a few words, make a spelling mistake, crumple this vellum and chuck it in your bin. None of this was possible. You could not afford it. To get one page written from a scribe would cost you something like 16 goats and maybe some bags of wheat and maybe something like that. So it wasn't for everyone. Yet, because of the church pushing this agenda that everyone must know the word of the Lord and things like that, they instituted these large scriptoriums in many, many monasteries across Europe, where they would make these books and they would earn revenue by making books for wealthy citizens. And a book like this was often part of a girl's dowry. So she could carry a piece of something from her home, usually religious, to wherever she was being married to. And obviously, the rich marriages were marriages of, I guess, political significance. So lots of things tied in over there also. Now, getting back to the script. If you have a script that uses a lot of space, obviously you're going to need a lot of material to write on. And if your material is very, very expensive, you have to figure out how to crunch the script. And in the Gothic script, this is what you will notice, that everything is crunched tight. Now, you might wonder why I'm giving you all this theory and background. So there are 3 reasons that I can think of, and there might be more reasons that I might come up with. So one is, once you know the background of the script, you'll never make silly mistakes in the script because you didn't understand a simple thing like spacing. When I used to teach this in the past, I realized without any background, people started making their letters like Roman letters, big letters, and that would never look like a Gothic script. And I wondered, how am I going to explain? This has to be a narrow script. And then I did up my own reading and research, and I realized that the moment you see a script which has these pointy tops and bottoms and they're very narrow, you know that this is a Gothic script. It helps you trace it to that time. The second thing about knowing history is, when you know a script like that, you know where you want to apply that script. So if you're going to make lettering for like a wedding invitation, but if that wedding is going to happen in Southeast Asia, please don't use a Gothic font for that wedding. There is a context to everything in history. So if you know the context, then your artwork starts becoming more intelligent. So even if some client comes and says, you know what, I love this font, but I'm getting married in Phuket. Please make me this font. You have to say, sit down, give me 15 minutes, let me explain why this is going to be very idiotic. Then the third thing is to know that these fonts or these, forgive me for calling them fonts, I will be persecuted by the calligraphy community. These uh, these letter types or scripts actually.
You can call it in front of us, no problem.
No, I cannot because then you will start calling them fonts. That would
Okay.
be unforgivable. So these are scripts. They have to be called scripts. And it keeps coming in my head because I do both. I use scripts also and fonts also, and I make lettering. But it's very important to be specific. So yeah, so these scripts are created by hand and also in a time when most of the tools were created by hand as well. So, if you are going to depend on tools that you are now buying from a store, you are going to limit your work. So, what I want you to do is just understand that this script is made very, very humanly. So, there are going to be variations, and you are allowed to experiment and make your own variations. This is very important with old or ancient calligraphy. While on the one hand, there are certain fixed rules, you will be doing only 10 or 20% of the work that or the joy that you can get if you are going to follow a script exactly verbatim, stroke by stroke. So I want you to free yourself in thinking about what all is possible with this script. And in that experimentation, if you go and make them really wide or whatever, is okay. So long as you know you're doing it for a particular purpose and you are being inventive, you are experimenting, then it's fine. Doing it in ignorance is not really the best thing to do. All right, so given that there is enough material about this that I can give you a lecture for good 6 hours, and I would love to do it because this is one of my most favorite subjects. It brings in lettering and history and everything together. So that we'll do another time. But for now, let's start writing. Before you start writing, I want to explain a few concepts about this script to you first. Once you understand the concepts, you will not make any mistakes. So, the
Ma'am, it's called a black lettering also. Why black lettering?
it's called black letter, not black
Oh,
lettering. So, black
okay.
letter because the density of the letters is so high that there's hardly any white space visible. So, it
Okay.
looks like a complete black page. That's why it tends to be called black letter.
And where can we use it? I mean, Gothic script. Like not for weddings, yeah, but
No, no, you can use it for weddings, except that use it in the right place, in the right form. There are definitely ways that you can. Many weddings use it to make the font, the card look a little more formal, maybe a little more mature, but it has to tie in with everything else. A whole lot of other graphics come in, colors come in, what the rest of the story might be about the wedding that comes in. And at the end of the day, you know what, if they want it, just do it. It is a wedding card. So I mean, we just have fun with it. I'm not going to
huh.
be too serious, but
Well, we can use it anywhere we want to, matlab.
you
No
can just
problem.
do it intelligently. So do
Yeah.
it knowing that you're breaking the rules. Uh,
Okay.
don't do it without knowing that. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great.
All right. Now the first part I'm going to draw. So I would like you to just sit back and watch. Don't do this with me. I'll give you time later on to do everything that I have done. But I would like you to see this because I want you to see how I'm holding the pen, how I'm making the lines. Later on, if you're looking down and if you don't observe how I'm doing this, then you'll start off on the wrong foot. All right, so let me explain how our tools are going to work. I have a whole assortment of tools. We have this chisel pen, I have a calligraphy pen, and in calligraphy pens, you will also have a number, which is usually the width of our pen. Our pens will have a flat tip, and a chisel pen will have a flat tip, but that flat tip will also have an angle. It is not exactly right angle. Then I have also carved out this tool. This is from an old cane chair that we discarded, and I just kept a little part of it to test out whether I can make a pen out of this. So I'm going to show you how to write with something exactly like this. All you need is a straw-like structure which can be hollow, which you can carve, and in fact even a plastic or a paper straw can be carved out so that you can get a stiff shape like this. So I'm going to show you how the nib is significant. At the beginning, I'm going to make a few lines like these, on which we are going to make a scale. So when we write Gothic letters, we write them to a particular scale, and that scale is the proportion of the letters, height and width. So scale is measured in terms of pen widths. Now I don't know what the width of this particular pen is because it's not written, it's just a marker. But I can make letters with this in the perfect proportion by first making a scale using this pen itself. So I have made a scale of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 pen widths. Excuse me 1 second. So the pen width is like a unit, like you would have centimeter, millimeter, inch. So this is pen width. Plain and simple. And when I'm making the scale, I have to be very careful not to make any overlaps and not to keep any gaps between these lines. Now, how is the scale significant? If I choose another pen, say this black pen, although I know that this is a 3 mm, this actually means nothing much right now. But if I make a scale with this, you will notice that if the width is small, the pen width is small, the height of the overall scale is also going to be small. So this is like the difference between inches and centimeters. Inches are 2.5 times a centimeter. So if I want to write on a small card, I can use this pen with this scale, a large card, this pen with this scale. Now for Gothic, we have a particular size in place, and that size is 5. Where's my pen? Before I get there, let me just show you the other pen widths also. So this is thinner pen, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And let's test out my reed pen as well. And for this, I'm using our Sumi ink. So those of you who might have a dip pen, you can use that as well for today's writing. So this is the problem with my pen. I have a rounded edge that, come what may, I just cannot get rid of. So I get a very interesting shape. And 9. Okay. Now in this we have to write our letters, and Gothic letters have a certain proportion scale. So we have to write these different things, so we have to make space for these different things. One is the minuscule letters, which are the small letters. Then we have letters with ascenders, letters with descenders, and we have capitals. So whichever letter style you use, you will have to make room for all these. When I say minuscules, these are letters which do not have ascenders, descenders, and these letters are still minuscules which have ascenders, descenders, and sometimes some capitals may also have ascenders and descenders. Now in a script, you have to accommodate all of these within a certain scale. So let's make this scale. The first thing I will make is a baseline. So this is the line on which your letters will sit. On top of the baseline, I'm going to start making these shapes. So I'll just use the felt pen so that I can show you some transparent strokes. Now when I'm holding this pen for writing, I'm gonna hold the tall side on my thumb side, and index finger will be on the shorter side, but I'm going to explain to you later also how to do this. For the moment, I want to make horizontal lines, so I'm going to place my pen exactly on the line so that I can make a short horizontal line to the left, then place it back on the line and move to the left. So what we want to do is find a comfortable way to draw a line out from the main line. You can make it this way as well. 7, 8 and 9. Okay. Now for the Gothic script that we are going to do today, the scale is 2, 5, 2. So I'm going to leave 2 from the bottom, 5 in the middle and 2 at the top. I'm using a different colored pen to mark the middle section. So that you can distinctly see the size. These 2 pen widths at the bottom are going to give us, oh, I made a mistake, the baseline. Oh, and this one is not the baseline. And this line is called the X line. I tried really hard to find out why it's called the X line, but nobody seems to have the answer. So this is the line, or this is the space in which the letters are going to sit, the minuscule letters are going to sit. The space above, the 2 pen width space above, will give us the ascender line. And my mistaken line is actually the descender line. I have no idea if the descender word has S, but now I use it. Anyway, okay, so I'll we are going to be making this differently, so don't worry about this mistake. I'm most embarrassed. So we have a baseline, X line, a sender line, descender line, and the space between these is called the X height. So once you know this, you will be able to make these letters in any proportion. I can create the scale in the size of this small pen also. Then you will have all the letters about this tall. In this scale, they will be about this tall, and of course, so on and so forth. Okay, do you get this? All right, do you want to make this part now? I'll give you about 10 minutes or so. So, carefully just draw this out. Today I am allowing the use of a scale. If you want to, at some point, even I'm going to be using a scale. So, just to save on time, if you want to use a scale, go ahead.
Is this Welsh music?
I have found a playlist of medieval music. Set the tone. And because my music knowledge is not as well, that's pretty much zero. I don't know if I'm also playing anything close to the script that we are writing, because I mean we're as far removed from the entire culture of the script, the religion, the politics, as they are from yoga, Indian philosophy, understanding this wholeness and beingness and all that, which we just get. So I generally forgive everyone for not knowing everything that they need to know before they start calligraphy. How's everyone doing? Any problems? Okay, is everyone done? Yeah, okay. So in this scale, our letters are going to look like this. I'm going to show you one letter, but before you make the letter, I'm going to give you some exercises. So like I said, for people who are using a chisel marker, whatever size it is, make the long side align with your thumb and the short side align with your pointer, with your index. And normally we write our strokes like this. But if you have a line which is longer than a centimeter, I would advise you to change your grip a little bit. So this grip is more easy for us to make long span steady lines. So normally this is our hold, which means that you are pinching the pen, and both the index finger and the thumb are in the same line. But for this script, I'm gonna suggest that you move your thumb back to where the first knuckle of your index finger is, and rest your index finger on the belly of the pen. So it's a very steady stroke like this. Okay, if you're using this, you will get a wobbly line, or often a line will come closer to your hand because of how our fingers move. With this, it'll be much steadier. It'll take a while for you to get comfortable with this new hold, but it works very well. Now just observe this. You may or may not make the stroke, you don't really have to. But the entire principle of the Gothic script is to make letters based on this form, which is the form of an oval. And like we learned even in the Roman script, the oval was almost like the womb from where all the other letters took shape and took birth. So this shape is a collection of all or most of the strokes you will need to make all the other letters, minus a few, or let's say a few strokes will be modifications of this. So if we want to practice this or how to write it, there's just 4 basic strokes you need to know. The first thing is that our pen is held at a 45-degree angle. So no matter what happens, you must maintain this 45-degree angle. In many Gothic scripts, the 45 can be 42, 40, whatever. But point is that it has to always be at an angle. And you need to make all the strokes keeping the pen at the same angle, which is something that we are not used to. So the exercises you need to do are holding the pen at 45 degrees like this and drawing a zigzag line, a line that goes up 45 degrees, comes back in the exact opposite direction, goes back up, comes back. And if you do it at the exact angle, you will get these beautiful sharp corners on the top and bottom. Okay, so try doing this exercise on just the top part. So in the beginning, your hand is going to wobble. You might keep rotating the pen in your hand because that's a habit we have working with round tip pens or pencils. So maintaining that angle can take a little while. All I want you to do is observe what is happening to your line so that you know what to watch out for. Okay, this may come perfect or may not come perfect, but you will know that it's just your hand wobbling. And of course, if you are blotting a lot, that means your pressure is really high. You just need very little pressure. The next thing is that you're probably not planting the pen so that the entire flatness of the pen comes in contact with the paper. Both these lines are very strong and have very smooth edges on both sides. Now, if you don't place your pen flat, you will get a weird edge. So place it flat, and then keeping it flat, you will draw the fat line, and keeping it exactly like that, not turning it this way and that and then drawing the thin line. You will keep the whole thing flat and go to the right, come down further. The next set of strokes are vertical lines. So these again, you don't change the angle, maintain that 45-degree angle, check your grip, and this is a long stroke, so maintain that shape and bring the line downward. So what you get here are lines which are not horizontal on the top. We don't want them horizontal. We want this angle to match this angle, and also the bottom. So these are called stems, these are called arches, and now we'll make the crossbar, which is basically just a horizontal line. And again, check that this shape is intact and your angles are the same. So basically, you only have to practice these strokes to get your grip. Now for the next part, I'm going to draw a scale on this side and maybe half the page where I will show you the letters. Maybe underneath this would be better. So I'm bringing my scale out, and from say 10.5 centimeters on top, no, not 10, 7, I think it is, yeah, 7.5 centimeters from top, which is just a random number, so that I can get a nice margin below all of this. I will be making a line, and this will be the margin line. This is a very interesting story about how margins came to be also. Coming down from 7.5, going to about 19.5, because I want to leave a nice blank space on all sides. I don't want to go too close to the edge. And I'm shifting to a smaller pen so that I can fit all the lettering in this space. So essentially, this is what we have to do again. We have to make a scale. And while I'm making a scale like this, because I'm used to making scales, I'm going to recommend that you start from the line and go out. So rotate your book, start from the line and go outward. Just so that you can ensure that you don't overlap. But if you're able to do it, by all means, use the easiest method possible. Those of you whose lines are blotting, there's a good chance that you might be pressing harder than the pen needs pressing. Today, I think in Pune, humidity is high, so my paper might be reacting to that as well. I have not counted how many pen widths I have made. I've just made them. And the right way to make a scale or the lines would be to also make a scale on the other side. So you just have to join lines from 2, first 2 pen widths, then 5, then 2, and so on. So you might be wondering, how did scribes in the past do all of this? Those of you who have watched the documentary I sent a link last week, the Peter Jackson documentary. In the second part, so which is actually the part 3 of the documentary, they speak about Gothic script and the scriptoriums. So, scriptorium or scriptoria, to be correct, would have been places where these monks would have written books. And I'm going to share another documentary today, which is called The Secret Life of Letters or something like that. It's a beautifully made 2.5 hour documentary. So in that they have no, sorry, I'm mistaken. The Gutenberg Press documentary is where he visits all these scriptoria in Germany, where this font was used. So you would have an apprentice who would do all this. A young chap who probably was sent to the monastery because they didn't have enough food to eat. And what do the people do in monastery? This one is known for writing, and if he is lucky and he enjoys writing, he would probably choose the monastery for himself and then apprentice to become a scribe. So the scribe would be, I guess, the head of the entire document, and under the scribe there would be several people at several levels who would make stuff. And in this case, there would be an apprentice who would mark the sheet, and then wherever we wanted lines, he would actually puncture holes. So there's a tool called an awl, which is like a wooden handle which has a needle on its end. He would use the awl to puncture holes on the vellum, maybe a stack of vellum, and then he would take something like a blunt butter knife, which had a shape like this. Let me see if I can draw it for you. So you would have a knife which had a shape like this. And this was used to score lines on paper. And you would score a line so that you don't have to draw it. Now, for us, I'm using a toothpick. You don't have to use a toothpick. I just want to demonstrate this. So when you're making lines that are temporary, should you make lines in something like pencil, where you can in fact just make indents? So only you are supposed to see this, right? Then why do you want to make lines which are so dark that you then have to use an eraser and remove the line? This was a very clever way most ancient script writers used to make the basic line for lettering. Even in India, they had a system of using a wooden plank on which they would weave threads in the form of lines and then take wet paper or even the leaf, soak that and place it on top of that plank, which would be tiny. I mean, it's just a little board, and keep some weights on it so that the lines would imprint on the surface. And then over time, this indent will just go. You don't have to erase or anything. So the next time you're making an artwork which requires lettering, or even some guidelines that you don't want to bother erasing, just make them as indents, very halka indents. Okay, so I'm going to proceed with the rest of the lines a little later. In this, I want to start you off with a few letters first. So the first letter form that we will do involves two different strokes. One of the strokes in this also is the diamond shape that you can practice. So diamond shape involves holding your pen at 45 degrees and pulling a line down just as long as the width of your nib. So you get this elegant diamond shape, which is often used as an embellishment for many, this becomes slightly longer, for many letters. So the first letter you will make will be an I, which will be made using a diamond, and then I will overlap that diamond with the next stroke, which is a stem, so that a little part of that diamond is seen on the right and left, and overlap again. And then with the left tip of my pen, I will draw a line up, which will be a foot. Sharpen this edge, and then the top, I'm just going to make a short stroke like that. I have seen diamonds put also on top, but that looks a little tacky. Now when you see a shape like that, you wonder, how am I going to make this thing? So what you watch out for is a ductus, which is a series of arrows and numbers which tell you how to make this letter. So it will say 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is called a ductus. Okay, do you want to try making this letter? Make it 2-3 times. I'm going to show you a few letters over here. So I'm not going to be able to show you the entire alphabet. We'll be lucky if I can show you just even a few minuscules. But I am going to share something like this, which will have a ductus as well for all the letters. So you will be able to follow them. I'm just going to show you the first few letters. So you get the principle. Once you understand the principle, literally not just the script, you can do anything. You can do italic, you can do the other Gothic scripts. Like there's a whole whole variety of scripts which fall under the umbrella of Gothic. Black letter is one, fracture, Schwabaker, there is, what else is there? Yeah, there's like 5-6 different things. I'll show you some variations also. Now, if you use this same stroke twice or the same sequence of stroke twice, you will make the letter U. It's as simple as that. And if you do this 3 times without making a foot on the last stem, which is actually a W, that's where the name of the word letter comes from, a W. I have a feeling that the W was a later invention. In Latin, in the 20 letters that Latin had, they did not have a W at all. And all the W sounds, if there were any in Latin, which is also something I don't know, because they had a V sound and they only used V for that sound. This was invented later. Now, if we turn this around, so we make diamond, stem, diamond. And now remember that we have to just place the stroke next to it. Stem, diamond, diamond, stem, diamond, and foot. Here is the N. and diamond, stem diamond, and foot. Here is the N. And now we can write the first word. Try writing minimum. Those of you who are doing calligraphy can start writing this. Those of you who haven't and are not in the calligraphy class, just observe my actions and then start writing. So the space between all the strokes, the empty space between the strokes, must be the same width as the stroke itself. So let me finish this and I'll show you how you can verify whether what you're doing is right or not. See, I'm repeating exactly the same strokes over and over again. Some places I am ending it with a hairline like this, and in some places I am not. That's the only variation. So my attempt is to keep these spaces constant. And how do I check this? I just hide some parts of the illustration of the lettering. If I were to hide the tops and bottoms, am I getting equal space in between all these pillars? That's how you test if you are spacing them correctly. And if you aren't, then you know what you need to do. So somewhere you need to change the place where you start your strokes. Okay? Try this out now. Okay.
Now I've sent you my minimum.
Oh, this is a different class, Karima.
But I could attend all the classes, so I was like,
No, no, that's fine. What I'm saying is, I'll just, this one I can see in, you can just show it up. Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Good, good. Okay, so now you can use all of these, all this space to write the rest of the letters. I'll write those and I'll send them to you. But this is by no means the only way you can use the flat edged. Let's see, Alka's. Nice. A little wobbly, na? Okay, Alka, hold this up. I want you to see and maybe comment a little bit. You have written two sets of letters. The I has been written on the I on top, IUWMN, has been written at a height of maybe 3 pen widths. Did you notice that? So that, no, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
You're mute, Alka.
Yeah. I
Huh.
saw your letters and I saw they were slightly longer. So then the second line I made it a little.
But you did not make a baseline and an ascender line, descender line. Okay. This is,
I scored it with the knife, so you can't see it.
but have you made it at 2 pen widths and
Yeah.
5 pen widths? Okay, so then you should have written that in. Um so the lower
So it is
letters.
2, then 5, and then 2 again. No?
Correct, correct.
That's what I did in the second one. The
Yeah.
first one I did 2, 3, and 2. I don't know why.
Huh. Yeah, so that's good. I mean, I
Uh,
just wanted you to see that. I wanted
yeah.
everyone to see that these things happen,
Uh,
and that's why the scale is important, because the difference between the letters that you've written on top and the letters you've written at the bottom is huge.
yeah, it is.
You hardly get
So when
any
I was writing the
space.
letters on top, I found I wasn't getting enough space to even make the stem, you know. It was
Correct.
like I barely make the stem and it's time to put the diamond again. And I was like, no, something is going wrong here.
Exactly. So this is the moment you feel something is going wrong, double check the scale and write it again and see how it looks. All right. So what I was saying is that, oh, 1 minute. Everyone is showing good, good, good. Let me see. Huh. So Shivani, now since you are left-handed, for you,
The
pen.
brush pen. I don't have the calligraphy pen.
Oh, you don't have any broad edge pen?
No. So that's why I was making diamond line.
Oh, no, no, don't bother.
I know. I just wanted to remember how to do it before I get that pen to the calligraphy. I don't know why.
Oh,
It's not coming out.
but do you have a flat brush?
Oh, yeah, I do.
You
I
can
missed
use
the
a
beginning,
flat
so I
brush.
didn't realize.
Yeah, you can use a flat brush. It was my mistake. I should have mentioned, if you did not have this, you can use a flat brush. Okay, this is nice. So Smriti, avoid going below the baseline and above the baseline. So we need to fit the letters right within that space. So the whole point of making those lines is to ensure that the letters are perfectly the same shape throughout. Okay, anyone else?
Aditi, are all Gothic letters this ratio 2:5:2?
No, there can be different ratios for different letters. Wait, Ritika, I wanted to see yours. So, Ritika, okay. If you can see in your scale, your pen marks have gone upper niche. Can you send a picture of this? I'm just going to evaluate. I'm going to scapegoat you and eval on your. Okay, so what I was saying was that this is only one part of what you can do with your chisel pens, but I don't want you to limit yourself to only this. There are many different styles of lettering that you can do apart from Gothic with the chisel pen. So, in this part of the class, which is just the last 20 minutes, I want to show you all the other possibilities. So, one thing is, like we did the Roman letters in pencil, Roman letters were written using a flat brush, and then they were carved out with a chisel. So if you remember how those letters were made, I'm just going to make one format of square, diagonal, circle, and inner rectangle to show you how you can use a flat brush or even a chisel pen to make those letters and how that will look. So here's the square. Now in this also, there is a certain scale. You can use a scale of about 8 to 11 and a half for pen widths to write Roman letters. There is a proportion to how thick and how thin the line should be. You remember this, right? So, whenever you get a script, the few things you need to ask, oh dear, lights are gone. Sorry, my lights are gone. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So, whenever you are trying a new font or somebody asks you to write a certain thing, you need to know a few things before that. How much space you have to write the letters. For the script, you need to know what is the proportion of the letters, so pen width or scale. And by scale, it's not just the minuscule ascender, descender, x height space. This is a scale of pen width to letter size. Full letter height. That is what we want. So in the case of capital letters, even that can be measured in pen widths. So in the case of Roman letters, you will find anywhere from 8 to 11, 11 and a half pen widths. So just so we know, I've made this only visually, but let's measure this and see. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh my God. And the other thing we need to know is the pen angle. And for Roman script, your pen angle is about 15 degrees. It is not 45 degrees. So 15 degrees would be a very shallow angle. The flattest part will come somewhere here. So this is how our letter looks. Fattest, flattest. That's how C's have a nice fat top and a very narrow bottom here. You see the shape? It's so elegant. Now if you want to make an A, I'm just shifting it the pen because you can see the two separately. 15-degree angle. So you get a certain thickness for the left leg and a certain thickness for the right side leg, and it is not a point at the top. Excuse me, I just need to get the door. Okay, sorry. So like these letters are written, you can also make your own letters which do not have a scale. So you can write letters like this. Once you know this though, you will start making much better letters. So an S like this comes from studying form like this. You will no longer make shoddy letters like just, or can you see the difference? So we want to come to a level where your casually written letters are also balanced. That is why knowing this is important. Practicing is also important, but even knowing makes a difference. The other thing is, notice how I wrote this letter. I first made the top part, then the middle part, and then the last part. None of my strokes have gone anti-clockwise. Oh, sorry, clockwise. Not gone up and to the left. So anytime you're using a broad edge pen, the better strokes are making them to the right and to the bottom, except in Shivani's case, because you will have to draw the stroke from the right to the left if you want to pull them. So for left-handed people, you have no choice but to convert to right hand or make the strokes in the opposite direction.
I just don't do calligraphy.
No,
Let the right-handed people do it.
like how people in the past used to beat the devil out of left-handed people. That is what we have to do. We will start writing. Okay, so this is one.
Everywhere.
Then you can also use the same thing for writing small letters. This could also be a small letter, but whatever you do, try to plant the entire pen down. So you can write letters like these.
Your video is getting stuck every time.
Oh,
Yeah, actually, it's
yeah.
quite bad.
Give me 1 second. Let me just do this, and I'm going to change again. So I might go off because I have hotspotted right now. That's why it's really weak. Okay, I think it will get a little better now. So whatever happens, letters look good if we have a few things in place. Like you must have some idea of a baseline. The heights of all the letters must be similar. You can play around with the ascender and descender space. So suppose I wanted to write Saturday class or whatever. Make these lines. Take the effort to make your lines. Even freehand is fine. And I'm using this 0.3 pen. And let me try something fun. No doubt, having a little bit of knowledge and practice of these old fonts will make all of this look great. And the entire time I kept the pen at the same angle. You can also experiment with short, stubby fonts with no space in between. You can
Aditi,
mix.
your video is stuck. We can't see what you're doing.
Sorry?
Your video is stuck. We can't see what you're doing.
Oh, it's not clear for me now.
It's clear
Yeah,
for you?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Completely
Now it's
stuck?
better. Now it's better. Yeah.
now it's super nice.
Oh, this thing screen is stuck at the beginning of the S.
Oh,
This is already on the morning for me.
yeah. Morning NG. Yeah.
And yeah, wow, that end was so nice.
Yeah,
Like that Shire script, Middle Earth.
yeah, correct.
G is also nice. I like the R.
The end.
There's so many options. So the next time you are labeling something now, don't do the don't go and write your masala names. Like, I hate going into kitchens and seeing something like that. Now you can't do this. You cannot. I forbid it. At the very least, you can at least try something like that. Make it large. You can try some different fonts. Make your letters. Give them lots of space and play around with more than one pen width. So ये तो हो गया गरम, and then use a different pen width for see, so much possible.
Oh, wow. I'm just seeing the finished pose. I missed all of this. Oh no, what's that?
Oh, never mind. I'll write something for you, Alka. Let's write your cats' names. What are your cats' names?
Oh, one cat, Ditto. Hmm.
Ditto and Adu, no?
Adu, yeah, Adu passed away. Adu's not there anymore.
Oh, okay. So, I'm going to show you now how to write with two pencils joined together. Now, this is a technique by which you can decide on the width of the letters. Suppose you have to write on a wall and you don't have adequate, I mean, how fat can you buy a pen? So, you can increase, all you need is to know where the ends of your stroke are, the edges. So we can make something with two pencils, two pens. If you want some space in between, you can add something like another pen maybe, or another pencil, whatever width you want.
Ah,
You can increase the width. Or you can add even like a matchbox and then the width increase that much and just tape it or put a rubber band on it. And then you do the same thing. You can make the letters. Keep the pen at or the two pencils at the same angle. Oh no, Adu passed, no? I'm writing the wrong name.
That's fine, it's fine. Carry on. Carry on, carry on.
So once this is written, you can then use a pen to outline. And this can be as artistic as you want. I'm just correcting some line alignments. And within this, you can make some hollows and fill this out with designs. So I could do something like this. And so on.
So pretty.
It's just wow.
Yeah, you can just watch, like
Yeah,
Oh,
really.
exactly. I can
dreamer.
just watch this. It's so amazing.
There. So cute. If I
Yeah, it's
so
really
myself.
lovely.
Oh, there's so much.
Aditi, can you show us how to write an S with this with a double pencil?
Sorry, what?
How to write an S with a double pencil?
S, yeah. A Gothic S?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so simply because the S has so many twists and turns. It's like
No, Gothic S does not have tones. Wait, let me do it in scale. So the Gothic S will be, you start from the bottom here and you make a zigzag shape at this middle point. You make an arch and you come down like this. And then from the top, you make two strokes from the top and the bottom. That's it.
okay.
So one fun thing I should show you actually is you will come across letters like these, which are written like these. I'll make them in scale so you know how they look.
But this looks like magic.
It does, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
know it is, and you can't believe that you are only making the same strokes over and over again. How is it even possible that these strokes are coming? It's just magic. You know. So the other effects that you can make in these are also very interesting. You can do something like that. So you break the line at the same point at every position.
Oh, oh my gosh, how cool is that?
Nice.
Lovely.
And imagine writing a whole name or a text like this. Of course, you don't do this for a body of text because
Yeah.
one assumes that if you're writing something that has to be readable, you don't want to do this kind of musty there. But look at
Mm,
how chill this looks. And now that
yeah.
you know that this can be done, you can change the color of the pen in the bottom. It doesn't have to be the same pen throughout. Yeah?
Right. Yeah. Can you put the pictures of this on the group so that
Yeah, yeah, of
this
course.
and the stuff that you've written on the other side?
Definitely. So, just so you know the scope of this script, we are just doing minuscules. And then there's a whole range of capital letters, which have all sorts of shapes. Capitals follow their own guidelines. They do not have these kinds of very strict guidelines. It's almost like the bachas need a lot of taking care of. So the minuscules are fit in a very nice regular pattern, and the capitals are just like aristocrats. You use them very sparingly, so they come and say, look, we are going to do whatever we want. Sometimes there's a drop cap, which means that the capital letter is written so big that everybody else then has to make room around them. They're really very nutcut people. So that is a different practice. And in order to do capitals, I would say first practice your minuscules, get comfortable with holding the nib in that angle to make whatever strokes you need to make. And then you can throw strokes around as are required for the capital letters. Okay? All right, this was fun. It's always too short.
I know.
But we will be doing this and more of this in the Friday calligraphy batch. I think more people are interested now after this month's classes. So hopefully that will be good. So next week on Saturday, I will be doing brush lettering, and I will also show you a little bit about the other letters we have. So we've already done open shaded. The rest of the batches are going to do open shaded next week, and your batch will do, I'll show you some other stuff. And I have a feeling this month we might have 5 Saturdays.
Okay.
So we might do one extra batch, and I might
There
then,
are 5 Saturdays this month.
yeah, so I might invite other batch people also to do that one extra stuff with you, in which we will probably do some contemporary lettering or something like that. Okay, if there's anything that you need to know or you'd like to ask questions for, just post questions on the group. I may not answer them on the group, but it's good to have them for as a discussion. I can think about it and I can also answer. I am going to share again 4 documentary links with you. Please watch them as and when you can. So there's a two-part uh, two videos on Peter Jackson, one which is called The Secret Life of Letters, and the last one is Stephen Fry's documentary on recreating Gutenberg Press. Yes, Shivani.
For the calligraphy pens, do you recommend any specific, like the sizes? Just for
The
beginners?
For beginners, the larger the pen, the better it is. And
Okay.
if possible, work with ink. As much as in your case specifically, you should work with a pen only because your hand will continuously smudge ink. But for
Not
others, yeah, for others, right-handed people, if you use a good pen with like a dip pen, a dip nib, then your strokes are much better. Most calligraphy pens are felt tipped, so they're very ink rich,
Hmm.
which means that they keep blotting on the paper and you don't see your lines very crisply. That's why I recommend writing with ink. And just one point, so in the past, when these letters were written on vellum, the ink used was uh, called iron gall, made from metal, and ox gall, which was made from the tumorous growths in oak trees. And I think it is supposed to be oak's gall, which is eventually became ox gall. Nothing to do with an ox. No animals were hurt in the production of that ink. But these inks are extremely corrosive. So if you get excited and think, okay, this is an ancient ink that I'm going to use, they can corrode our regular stainless steel nibs in one use. So avoid those. If you need to use them for any reason, get a quill or something, because quills work better with those inks. And again, the purpose of that is because those inks literally tattooed onto the vellum. The reason why we have so many manuscripts available from that time is because the letters just got tattooed on the skin. So, yes, fascinating. I feel I should give a
Hmm.
lecture one day on just these ancient scripts. I will announce it sometime. Please, if you let me know if you would like to hear more. It's so full of stories and it's just, I love it.
Ma'am, you're still going to flame?
No, 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 I'm not going to flame anymore. I just did that
Why?
in the semester. They didn't invite me back, and then I got very busy also.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. But it's very interesting what you're doing, na? So
Yeah, I know. But colleges should know, I mean, they should be interested in teaching kids these things also.
I'll tell my daughter it's her last month.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so and she's some, I don't know, she knows many people, student
Yeah.
council and some council she is in. So I'll just tell
Yes,
her.
she
Yeah.
should. Yes, definitely.
So,
Okay.
Anybody who did
okay.
Julius Caesar today is Ides of March.
Ides of March, yes.
Oh.
I've written that in today's date. I can't help it.
Uh,
I just find it
yeah,
beautiful day. Yeah. If it were the 17th of March or something, I would have never done it.
yeah,
15th of March is just, it's a
Ides of
nice
March.
day to
And
remember.
you, it's only March. It's no other month. It's only
You
Ides of
can't,
March. You never
correct.
do Ides of August or Ides of September. It's just
I
Ides of
know, exactly.
March.
Cool. All right. So I will see you next week. Definitely get your brush pens. If you don't have brush pens, we will just use paint and a regular round brush. It's fine. Don't buy anything that you don't need. All right. Bye. Have a
Okay,
nice
bye-bye. See
Bye.
you.
Have a good
Take care.
weekend.
Have a good day,
Bye.
good weekend. Bye.